Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome back to the channel. As you guys see by the title, I think we have our final three Minnesota Vikings head coaching candidates, and I believe those guys are Kevin O'Connell, the Rams offensive coordinator, Raheem Morris, the Rams defensive coordinator, and Jim Harbaugh, the University of Michigan head coach. I do think DeMeco Ryans, the 49ers defensive coordinator, the young guy, I think he's out of contention. Shefty tweeted out today that Kevin O'Connell and Raheem Morris will both be getting follow-up interviews sometime this week. And actually, as I'm recording this video, I kind of, if you guys saw right there, my eyes kind of went to my phone. I got a notification. Shout out Kirk Cousins. He's replacing Aaron Rodgers in the Pro Bowl. Good job, Kirk. But anyways, thank you guys so much for the support on that channel. We're going to be breaking down Kevin O'Connell, Raheem Morris, and Jim Harbaugh right now. So starting off with Kevin O'Connell, he is the Rams offensive coordinator, and he actually had some experience playing in the NFL. So in 2008, he was a third-round pick. In his career, he bounced around. He played for 3 teams. He never really kind of established himself in the league. But in 2015, he ended up getting a Browns quarterback coaching job. Then in 2016, he moved over to the 49ers Special Projects. I really do not know what that title entails. But then after that, 2017, he was the quarterback coach in Washington. 2018, pass game coordinator in Washington. Then he got promoted to the Washington offensive coordinator in 2019. And then since 2020 to obviously now, he's been the Rams offensive coordinator. Now, Kevin O'Connell, I would be thrilled. I mean, I'm just going to say that right now. I feel like Kevin O'Connell, he's not like a splash hire like Jim Harbaugh would be. But Kevin O'Connell, I mean, every time I'm watching the Rams offense, and obviously this is the McVay effect too, but the thing I love about them is I feel like they're playing football in 2050. You know, we always say how we play football in 1970, at least under the Zimmer era. But whenever I'm watching the Rams, I feel like they're playing football in 2050. Because not only are they aggressive, they have beautiful down the field route combinations, but they also have an identity. I mean, the Rams, like, they were going against a very physical 49ers team yesterday. If you guys watched the game, congrats to him for making the Super Bowl for the second time in 5 years. But if you guys were watching that game, it's a physical game. And the Rams were still able to get downhill, but then they were still able to have Cooper Kupp with 140 and Odell with 113. So they are this very modern offense. But in terms of aggressiveness in actually the NFL, the Rams are close to the last. I don't know how they really come up with that stat, but in terms of aggressiveness and like going for it, and obviously I don't know what else goes into that stat, but the Rams are 30th in the NFL. So I kind of like how they're more modern, but they still want to establish some sort of physicality and run game. Kevin O'Connell would be thrilled. All right, now Raheem Morris, the Rams defensive coordinator. He has been around the league for a very long time. He actually was the Tampa Bay head coach following their Super Bowl. So he was there from 2007 to 2011 being their head coach. Then he went and he worked with Washington's second. It's so crazy how McVay, Shannon, all these guys, they all started in Washington, even Raheem Morris. I mean, every one of them. He was the secondary coach in Washington from 2012 to 2014. And then he was the Falcons pass game coordinator from, I think it was 2015 to about 2017. And then obviously this past year, he was the Rams defensive coordinator. So Raheem Morris, he's a defensive guy and he's a little older. So immediately I'm thinking Mike Zimmer. I mean, I'm sure all of us immediately kind of went that way. But he had experience with the Falcons pass game coordinator. So he obviously will understand the value of a pass game. This hire would worry me a little bit because the problem with the NFL is bringing in a defensive guy. If you have a good offensive coordinator, you're most likely going to lose him for a head coaching job. Because if you look at like Sean McDermott right now, he's going to probably have to go through multiple offensive coordinators in his career, because every time the Bills will have an explosive offense, their offensive coordinator will be up for a position. So I would always lean, especially nowadays, going for the offensive guy, because then let's just say if we hire Raheem Morris and we get, for example, Kevin O'Connell as just the Rams offensive coordinator, he just comes to us, and he's up for a head coaching job, he takes the offense with him. Where Raheem, I would almost rather have an offensive head coach, because you're not going to lose the defense, if that makes sense. I'm leaning offensive. But Raheem Morris, if you're looking at if there's any defensive guy we're bringing in, it would be him. I would just be a little skeptical just because he's a defensive head coach. And let's just say we do have a successful year, and our offensive coordinator, he'll probably get head coaching jobs. That's what we've seen with Stefanski when Zimmer is here. It's just harder to keep these offensive coordinators here because everybody wants them. All right, and the last guy who I think this is getting I actually think it's getting real. Jim Harbaugh, the University of Michigan head coach. 3 straight NFC titles when he was in the NFL. I don't need to talk to you guys about what he's done in the league, but there was this tweet from Clint Storner, and I think it's very interesting. I'll throw it up on the screen right now. So apparently John gave Jim, the Ravens head coach, gave Jim Harbaugh their defensive coordinator, Mike McDonald, for this past year at Michigan. And Harbaugh has, I guess, returned him to John Harbaugh back in Baltimore, so he's going back there. So a lot of people are speculating now that, okay, so he had him for a year, now he doesn't need him anymore after Michigan's best year since Harbaugh got there, and he's just letting go of him. So I don't know. And then Shefty also, there was a report that literally just came out 20 minutes ago saying that Harbaugh has real interest in the NFL, and that was kind of the vibe that the Vikings took away from their interview. So I think they got 3 candidates. 2 of them, Kevin O'Connell and Jim Harbaugh. I mean, that'd be everything. I mean, I would absolutely love that. I would have no complaints. Raheem Morris, I would still be very excited about. I would just be nervous about him being a defensive guy. This would be the 3rd straight defensive coach for the Vikings, going from Leslie to Mike Zimmer to Raheem Morris. I just think the fans, if we just get another year where we have a defensive head coach and the defense is not good, it would just feel a lot like Zimmer. And maybe the team, it would not feel anything like Zimmer. And I'm just overthinking the defensive head coach. I would just lean Kevin O'Connell, Jim Harbaugh. And I also think, listen, Raheem Morris, he has done a very good job. The defensive coordinator, because he's going to hire somebody on offense, and then they'll be gone if they do a good job. It's just the way it is in the NFL. Let me know what you guys think down below. Skol Vikes.